Mazzaroth Decoded, number 7, Signs in the Sun, Moon, and Stars. Here we go, family. Welcome back. Let's dig into the Mazzaroth. We're here on Stellarium. We're looking at the alignment of Apophis with the water bearer. Now, this also happened 2 days ago, and we showed that other alignment that's here, and now we can see that Apophis has moved, and now it is directly aligned with the main body of the water bearer. And you can see how this is essentially a war in the water bearer. We have Saturn, which is a representation of Satan, and it can also be a representation of the black cube and the Sabbath and Saturnalia, and this goes back to a lot of religious culture, and you can associate Saturn with Kronos, and he is the one who ate the children. There's many different depictions of Saturn, and it's very important to understand the astrotheology of these planets. It's really, really important. If you're not familiar with astrotheology, then I would do some research. I'm going to go ahead and load a video in the community that I watched a couple days ago. It's a really good one. It just came out, and I'll share that with the body, and that way you can understand from a Mazzaroth perspective, strictly looking at it from a star point of view. They call that astrotheology, that all of these ancient religions and most of the written ordinances or scriptural writings throughout history have all been tied to astrotheology, and there's many who have done great work breaking this stuff down. And I believe in order to truly understand what you're seeing in the Mazzaroth, that you have to have at least some basic understanding of astrotheology. And so I will be loading information about that as we go. But just know that Saturn is, especially in our modern Roman, Greek pantheon, Saturn is seen as the one who ate the children, and he's also the Lord of Time, and also the bondage of this physical realm. As the Lord of Time, he is also the Lord of the physical realm. And we also have Mercury in the house, and that, as we all know, is the messenger. And I see this as the Archangel Gabriel. And Mercury can also be associated with Thoth and Hermes and Enoch. And we also see the sun, or the bridegroom, in the house. Quickly, we're going to look at the sun. and Mercury, and you can see that it is like they are on each side of the water bearer. And then let's go back and let's look at Apophis, and now we have Apophis, which if you haven't seen my series on Apophis strikes, then I would suggest going back and watching. I believe I've already uploaded 2 or 3 videos, and we're going to be doing more on that soon. But I have so much going on with all the other signs that I've just been adding them into these Mazzaroth decodes. So here we're looking at essentially a war in the underworld, because all of the water signs, starting from Capricorn all the way through Pisces until the edge of Aries, you can see Cetus is a water sign, Pisces is a water sign, the southern fish, Aquarius, and Capricorn are all water signs, essentially dipping into below the ecliptic. You can see how all of these houses are situated halfway above and halfway below the ecliptic. The only one that is completely below the ecliptic is Cetus and the southern fish. And we'll be getting into uh, the astrotheology of that also, or the decoding of the houses or the constellations. So what we're looking at here is a very, very important sign here in the heavens. In essentially what we're talking about is the underworld, because these are water signs. We're looking at multiple of these bodies, or what we can call angels. We're looking at, they consider the 7 planets as the 7 angels. And so we have Neptune, we have Venus, we have Saturn, we have Mercury, and we have the Sun, all in the water signs. And we can see Neptune and Saturn and Mercury are under the ecliptic, and the Sun is always directly on the ecliptic. And that's why in the Egyptian mythology of the sun being in a boat, it's because the sun travels across the ecliptic directly on what they would consider the waters of the underworld. And so we see Mercury being under the ecliptic, we see Saturn being under the ecliptic, and we see Neptune being under the ecliptic. Now, Neptune is seen as Enki, Ea, and this is dealing with Sumerian mythology, and that is directly tied to Saturn, because Saturn is seen as his brother Enlil. And so we have Enki and Enlil right here in our signs in the Mazzaroth. And to me, this was a war of the water bearer. We can see Apophis is known as the primordial serpent. This is the essentially the forces of evil, and we are seeing this align with the water bearer. And so we could see this as a war in heaven being poured out, and uh, the statement "as above, so below," which some people wrongly state is uh, uh, a satanic statement, that shows how much they really have done their homework and how much they really know, because this is about the heavens and the earth, and what is shown to us in the heavens is reflected into our earthly realm, and so as above, so below. These signs are projecting to us what is going to happen here on earth. So we're looking at a war in the heavens. We're looking at the sun and Mercury in a battle, or the bridegroom. And the you can look at Mercury as the best man because he's the closest to the bridegroom. It also has an 88-day orbit, which is a sign of Messiah. And if we look at the sun as the bridegroom, Messiah, we're looking at Apophis and Saturn and Neptune, which are the Elohim. The Apophis is seen as the primordial serpent Yaldabaoth. And this is the father of the Anunnaki. Who he is the one who is the builder and initiator of the archons, which are the 70 rulers of this realm. And many who have not done a whole lot of research into ancient religions, and if you haven't read the book of Enoch or any of the Dead Sea Scroll books or any of the Nag Hammadi, then really you're missing, or you haven't read Jubilees or all of these other books that are in uh, the canons of the Eastern Orthodox Church. It's also in the canon of the Ethiopian Church. So nobody can tell me that these aren't books that belong there. This is a corruption from the Catholic Church and their war on knowledge. And so if they can keep everybody dumbed down to the point where they're first graders and all they understand is the first grade uh, understanding, or some of them are kindergartners, and they get so upset if somebody ruffles their feathers. It's like you read the story of Genesis about the flood and all of these things, and you take it so literal, and you don't understand that those stories are ancient stories that were passed down to the Hebrews, and all they did is rewrite the story in their own cultural context. These are stories that go way back before there was ever a Bible family. And so it's very important to understand. I'm not putting down the scriptures. The Bible, the Torah is an absolute perfect encoded message. You have to understand that the Bible is a coded message. A lot of it is not meant to be read literal because it's a code. And if you're a child and you're hearing these Bible stories, it is fascinating, and they're great tales, and they're designed to give you an initiation into the deeper truths of the encoded message. And so if you continue to stay in first grade, you're going to miss out on all the other grades that are out there for us to attain. And that's the only way I can put it, is that a lot of the Christian church it is unfortunately stuck in what the Catholic Church created, which is ignorance and brutality. They both go hand in hand. So instead of being brutal and attacking those who are trying to bring forth truth, why don't you do the job of proving and testing it out? If you're afraid to read these scriptures, something's wrong, and you're under a deep deception and you're under control. And no humans should ever be told that they can't read anything. It is my job as a follower of Christ to uncover the deeds of the devil. And he will never stop me from uncovering those deeds. And we are going to decode those things for the body of Messiah. And if you're not capable of hearing these messages, then just go back to your church and listen to your pastors. They're never going to show you this stuff, so go on back to first grade. We're not playing games here. This is for the ones who are capable of chewing on the meat. And a lot of the churches are totally incapable of doing that job of chewing it or digesting it. They spit it right out. And so we're here to give you the deeper truths, and hopefully you can appreciate that. So we're looking at Apophis, making the alignment. We're looking at a battle in the heavens. We're now going to move to the sun. We're going to watch the sun make its alignment. And that is here. We can see that the sun is, we'll just call it there for evens. We're looking at the sun aligning with the water bearer on 2/19 at 4 a.m. This is Pacific Standard Time, and you can see that Ceres is there in the house. Again, remember, Ceres is the goddess of marriage, and if this asteroid, which is a minor planet, if this is in the house, then we can see that we are getting marriage signs, because we're looking at the bridegroom and the judge of the marriage. And we have Mercury that's now between the water bearer and the stream of water coming out of the urn. And we are going to move forward, and we're going to show you how on the 21st we have the alignment of Mercury with the water stream. And this, we can see that this battle in the heavens is still going on, because it's as if Apophis is directly between the messenger and the bridegroom, or the best man and the bridegroom, as if this is a war on the marriage because of Saris being there. So we're looking at the enemy attacking the coming marriage supper of the Lamb. This is a direct attack, family. And as I said, whatever transpires in the heavens is going to come to us here. We're going to move back one day, and we can see how Venus makes its alignment on the 19th. And let's just go ahead and get this directly up and centered. And we're looking at Venus aligning with the band of the eastern fish, and this is 219, and this is at 5:22 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're looking at the evening star, which is the bride, family. The bride is now aligned with the tail of the eastern fish. And again, we talked about this iris. The eye of God is right here with Venus in the tail of the fish. And as we discussed in the last video that we broke down for the Mazzaroth, that the end section of Capricorn is also a fish, and it represents resurrection. And so this alignment here with Venus, the evening star, is a sign of resurrection of possibly the dead in Messiah. And we've been looking for these resurrection signs. I believe before the escape of the bride that there will be a resurrection of the that are in the graves between the time that Christ had his mission, all those who accepted Christ from the time he was born, and that means the wise men, and that means the shepherds. The shepherds were the first one to show up, but they weren't actually followers of Christ. They were given the message by the angels, where the wise men were actually the very first followers of Messiah, and they did the work using the Mazzaroth to find the birthplace of the king. And so we're looking at a way of us as the modern wise men to be finding all of the signs in the heavens, and we could be looking at a sign in the heaven of the bride of Christ rising from the dead. And we can see that we are looking at some very, very interesting signs in the water signs. Alexander Kim is our next one. And we're going to be showing you this sign On the 20th, we have the alignment of the moon and this asteroid. We're looking at Alexander Kim and the moon making an alignment in the Libra constellation, and this is happening directly in the center of the base of the scales. And this to me was a sign of the foundation of the altar, because Libra is the altar. Let's go ahead and really quick, we're going to see here. This is really awesome. We're going to go ahead and scroll in and get this back up. And I hope you saw that. Let's see if I can do this. See, a lot of times it'll just disappear. See that, fam? Stellarium shouldn't do that. And this is one of the problems with using the Stellarium web. So it's sometimes an issue, and if I use the borders, then the asteroid will disappear, and that's a little frustrating. But as you saw, this Alexander Kim and the moon are right on the border of the constellation of Libra. So we can see here the moon is right on the line, and that green line was where Alexander Kim, and we're looking at these two aligning right on the base. We can scroll back in and we can see a bunch of our other signs that are in this house. We have Metis, which is the wedding. We have Dembowska, which we've been following. We have, I believe, Juno is still there in the house. Juno is actually transitioned. Nope, Juno was right there. So we have some very, very, very important signs in this house that are just stacking up, man. We have Vesta, the virgins. We have Juno, and we know Juno is associated with Vesta and the virgins. We have Metis, the wedding. We have Dembowska, and Dembowska is to cry out. And again, we have these signs aligning with the moon as it transitions into Scorpio. And this is very important. I don't have it pulled up. This is going to have to go off of everyone's memory, and hopefully I'll pull it up, and I'll put the video in the community section for you to watch. But I'm going to try to connect the dots here. If you remember back, I'm not sure what year it was. It's been some time now. But there was a Google Doodle of, I think it was Shazandra, or I think it was the death of, I think his name is Shazandra, or something like that. He was a mathematician, and they made a Google Doodle with the scales of Libra, and it shows the sun going into the scales, and it doesn't work, and then another body comes in really fast, and that is a representation of the moon, because the moon travels much faster through these constellations than almost any of the other bodies in the heaven. So it's showing that the moon in the Libra constellation is the one that moves the scales up. And again, I'll connect that in the uh, community page as soon as I can find that. But it's very important to see these. I'll also include uh, the codes for Alexander Kim. I haven't done that. It's a lot of work to do to put all these things together, and I'm trying to keep these videos around 30 minutes now. So we're looking at our signs continuing, because again, this is a continuation of the signs that we're seeing over here in the Mazzaroth, because the Sun and Mercury and Ceres being connected to the bride and bridegroom signs, and Venus as the evening star being a bride. And then we can come over here and we can see that in the altar, which is the marriage, this is where the marriage is done, and then the transition of those marriage participants will then go into Scorpio and Ophiuchus, which is the huppah, and that's where the actual marriage ceremony. Remember, in the ancient Hebrew weddings, there were multiple different parts of a wedding. It wasn't just one um, event like we have in our modern marriage. There were actually 3 different events, and I have posted that in my old channel, Kaddish Culture, and I've also made videos about that that you can find uh, when I first started this channel, because it's important to know the differentiation between the 3 parts of a Hebrew wedding or marriage, and how that differs from our understanding of a marriage. So we're going to go ahead and finish it here. We're looking at the bridal signs continuing. We have Vesta and Juno and Dembowska and Metis, and we also have Alexander Kim, and these are all in the house of Libra, and they're all pointing us to a coming great wedding in heaven. Thanks for coming, family. Much love, and we will see you very, very soon.